Hello everyone. Welcome to my teaching learning session. I'm Singh, taking care of your BAG courses of Industrial Psychology. Industrial Psychology is BPC 146. We start with the first unit that will take care of introduction. Industrial psychology has been prevalently a new topic and a new area of research and equally learning. Industrial psychology came with an arousal in thought by psychologists that we would need and require well-being in terms of mental health, in terms of productivity, reduce the abstinence in organization and workplaces. As soon as there was a need and arousal in terms of understanding the employer relationship, how to increase recruitment, how to manage the relationship between the two, how to increase productivities of the employees and reduce abstinence, and obviously favor both to the organization and the employee, came up the organizational or industrial psychology. It is the first unit we start with. Industrial psychology operationally was defined by Bloom and Naylor in 1968. They simply stated that the application or extension of psychological facts and principles to the problems concerning human beings operating within a context of business or industry. So anything which is concerning any well-being, any problem, any research area which is concerning in the context of business and industry was called as industrial or organizational psychology. This was given by Bloom in 1968. When we talk about industrial psychology, what does industrial psychology actually brings in? That is, what are its goals, what is it looking forward to, and what are the areas of researches that we believe will get. So, speaking of that, as my screen suggests, is that industrial psychology is always concerned with selection and testing, selection of the right candidates for a position, and testing of their skills. At times, we forget that organization is always upgrading. They equally want their employees to be upgrading. So, selection and testing is one of the most prime and the first thing that we look forward to. And then personal development, which is training, performance appraisal, attitude measurement of the employee, counseling, and career planning. Then human engineering, which is obviously equipped and product designing. This is equivalent to only industry designing that we are talking about. Industry that can equally involve when we talk about human resource industry, we also talk about mechanical industry here. That's why equipment and product designs are also coming. So industry does not mean one kind, but also the variety in multiple industry that we have in our Indian system. Productivity study, which is how to increase the productivity, work fatigue to take care of, monotony in work that we have. Also, abstinence is one of the most important topic that most of the employer employee relationship should take care of. Physical aspects of work environment, like how your environment is it spacey, is it big, is it suffocating to some people? There are times where work environments have very small washrooms. Now all of these things are catered in industrial psychology. There are times when the work desk areas are way too big for one employee to be sitting. That equally is a problem. When you have too much of space and the productivity and output that you have requires much lesser space. So obviously it is talking about both in the light and the dark aspect of work environment. Also the temperature, the lighting. At times, your work days are so shadowed, you do not have an appropriate amount of light which is coming around the desk and the area. Human relationship is one of the most important aspect of organizations, which is your relationship between supervisor and subordinates. That's why relationship not only in a multi hierarchy is important, which is going up the vertical scale, which is from your boss to the heads and to the coordinators, but also we are talking about the horizontal line of employees, which is supervisors working with their co-supervisors. Then we have sub-subordinates that we have, they working listening to the supervisor. So it's not only the vertical relationship that the human relation will take care of, but also the horizontal relationship, which is relationships between amongst the employees that we have. Also, labor union management is one of the most important thing that we forget. Initially, I'm sure in Hindi cinemas we have seen unions usually coming out and having a brash opinion about something, and whenever they need, they have a need that needs to be satiated or satisfied, they usually come on strikes, and there's a lot of fight that's coming on to reduce that chances of fights and to create any harm or reduction in the productivity of the company, we need a human relationship to take care of all these things, which is relationship between vertical subordinates, horizontal subordinates, the union management that we have. And there are some other aspects also that industrial psychology has now started catering to, which is, medical health of the employee, mental health of the employee, marketing researches, like how do we stand with these people of our, these workers in the market, and safety and accident, all of these things which are very new to the industrial psychology is also coming in to cater both to the organization and also the people who are working in. So, when we talk about industrial psychology, and people who want to study this should always remember, now the this fear and this field of psychology is taking care of both the aspects. Not only we are looking towards the positive aspects and benefiting aspects of the organization, we are also looking forward to the benefiting aspects of the employee, which is their medical leaves, their mental health, good policy making. Policy making is also a part of industrial psychology. Policy making, accidents, safety rules and norms, and all of these things are now coming on the other side of the plate also, which is not only organization but also the ones who are providing the output to organization. So whole in whole, we need to understand organizational psychology is any psychological fact or any psychological functioning or application which is happening in the context of business, industries, or organizations. Organizations can be colleges, it could be a mechanical organization, it could be a KPMG, it could be a multinational company also that we have. So now let's move ahead with major fields of organizational psychology. So like when we speak about cognitive psychology, we have its fields. When we talk about human development, we have its major small little fields that they are studying on. We even have major fields of organizational psychology. Speaking of that, the first field is employee selection, which is the major area of work where the organizational psychology is doing is employee selection. This is an area which involves developing employee selection assessments and such as like the screening test to determine that are you a correct fit to the job that is being given to you, and are you qualified for that particular position. So initially, we just had a simple interview. Let's take of an example of a multinational company. When we go, whenever we are moving to an organization, we should always look towards the profile. Is the profile actually equivalent to our to our qualification? Because that is what an employee selection will target when they are selecting you. They look forward to your qualification. Is it equivalent to the job that they are giving you and providing you? So that's why there are screening tests that are available at times out of just an interview. Now testing is also done, like paper pencil tests are also given to the employee sections, especially the ones which are the new fresher providing jobs. There are tests which are paper pencil where you write down aspects about it, and there is an interview which is done. Then there is a panel which screens your thought about the position that you're coming for, particular position. So we need to know the employee selection is one of the most important, and I feel the one of the first thing that happens whenever you're moving towards an organization. So until you don't see a job, you don't go to seek it. And until you don't go to seek it, employee selection doesn't take place. And as soon as the employee steps in, is that's the time where all the fields of organization and industrial psychology starts working. Now, moving to ergonomics. Ergonomics is a very new field. It involves designing procedures and equipments which are designed to maximize performance and minimize inequality. So ergonomics is one of it's a very new field which is within the organizational field, and it doesn't talk like it sounds like economics, but it is actually talking about designing new things, new procedures, and new equipments. These procedures could be some selection test. These procedures could be increasing. It also can be policies which increase the performance. It could also be deadlines or targets which are made in such a manner that increases your productivity, and they're so simplified and so systematically and serially given that they even minimize the inequality. So these are comes under the category where there is development, where there are procedure development, could be policy development. It could even be a deadline or a project that is given to you which equips you and equips most of the employees to maximize their performance. So it's to increase the productivity of the company, increase the productivity of you stretching your limit that till what point can you perform further, and also it reduces the inquiry. Inquiries, there will be a minimum number of questions that will arise on that selection thing or on that project or on that deadline. So it is so simply given to you, and it's serially given. There are systematic orders of instructions which are there that you reduce the number of questions which are put up, or an individual who can put it up. Then we move to another field, which is organizational development. So industrial psychology, IO psychologist, which is IO, industrial and organizational, who work in this area help improve the organizations, often through increasing the profits, redesigning the products, or improving the organizational structure. So how can we develop an organization? Think about many reasons in which you can help develop the organization. See, it could be probably renovation of the company, having new work desk for the company, new design. At times, the organizations in a very smaller level create a little craft work around the work desk for everybody, which increases the value, the kind of the uniqueness of your workplace, which is obviously more attractive than the other work organization. This is an organizational development. There could be increasing the profits of the work, like small targets, which helps you achieve a lot of profit for the organization. So here, people, before, there is one set of employee which is working for smaller targets, and there are one set of employees which is working for projects for 1 or 2 years. So smaller targets increases your benefit, which might be coming after every 3 months. Then we talk about redesigning of products, which is, let's take an example. If there's a company who's looking forward to product selling or marketing of products, they can redesign the same product time and again. So that's organizational development. That goes very correct to phones which are coming in a way of an updated version of their own. Also, we talk about cars also come, like, as this year starts, there would be a new version of a smaller car set only that's already available. So there would be an improvement in the engine, there would be something into the speed, the mileage, or probably the sunroof, which would be better. So this is what is the product redesigning, which increases the profit of the organization and the brand value of the organization. Then the other is performance management. This is equally important, as psychologists stated that who work in this area are developing assessments and techniques to determine the employees are doing their job well or not. So this is equally a very important thing. At time, working in an organization from 9 to 5, or probably 7 to 3, we usually feel at times the work gets in such a routinized pattern that testing, performance check, improvement, skill development is never seen in the employees. And what happens? Monotony develops in their work. So the cycle of 1 year is working, and in that 1 year, you go on and on in the same routine like it was in the last year, and the work gets finished with the same development, with the same profit, no increment, no decrement, the stability. As soon we reach a plateau level, and a very stable level, we will not be able to move ahead of it. So these performance management techniques and these assessments help employees, help the organization check, is the employee working well? Is the employee hitting the targets? Is the employee actually doing any sort of skill development or not? So this is for the performance check. So this could be a skill management test, it could be an assessment, it could be a rotation of slight group discussion where people talk about what they've done in the pandemic years. That could also be a simple management performance check that we could do. Then there is training and development, which is also vocational area of the employees. Professionals in this area often determine what type of skills are necessary to perform a specific kind of job, as well develop and evaluate the employee training programs. So training and development will talk about you to determine that what are the skills that you can develop. So your organization can probably in a month's time can give you probably 12 number of hours to for skill development. So that's like training and development for the employees. They can provide you number of hours for your skill development where you have to do some online courses or online skill development, which is good for you. and which helps you perform a specific kind of job or specific kind of task that you're looking forward for a promotion, which will equally add value to the organization. Also, there are a lot of training employee program which are running within the organization. So you can just go there, be a part of it, and you get a number of leaves for it. So this is again training development, vocational area development for the employee, which is, at times when we take in these training programs, these certificate courses, we feel it's our benefit. But you need to know, when you're a part of the organization, it is equally a benefit for the organization. Then we have work life also, which is a very new area and field of organizational psychology. This area focuses on improving employee satisfaction and maximizing the productivity of the workforce. So this is like employee being satisfied, and as we are satisfying the employee in terms of their training, their skill development, financial and monetary setup, they will maximize their productivity in the workplace. Also, IO psychologists at this area might work to find out ways to make the job more rewarding, more interesting, and design programs that improve the quality of the workplace also. So there could be, at times when we have small, as I said, smaller targets and bigger targets. Knowing that some set of employees are always looking forward to the long run targets of 1 year, especially in IT companies when there are targets which are going on for 1.5 years and people have to travel to the other parts of the country. Here they can equally add some design, some other simple small program which could be about that country, that will not only increase the quality of work and joy of the individual is moving out to the other country, but also the quality of your organization. Because here you will bring, the employer will bring in some quality thought, some quality work from the other country also, apart their project designing. So these are simple ways that we can increase the work life balance. We can increase and improve the quality of life in our organization. Also, help us increase the productivity of the workforce, equally of the organization also and the employer also. So it's a very balancing situation. If you want to look forward to an organization's benefit, you need to look forward to the satisfaction of employee in both ways, in the vocational areas also, in the work areas also, and also in their performance areas. So these were some major fields like employee selection, ergonomics, organizational development, performance management, training and development, work life, which has been the new area of interest for these psychologists to function. Now, let's move to another field where we will talk about researches in organizational psychology. So, when we talk about organizational psychology, we always feel no, this is all more application. No, there has been a lot of researches which has been done in this field, and that's how this field has come up to an application level for us. So researches in industrial and organizational psychology looks like what? The industrial and organizational psychology is concerned with individual behavior, the behavior of groups, the relationship of organization wide variables to individual and groups in work setting. So a few of the areas of researches here could be the individual behavior, how a employee works and behaves in a group setting when they're working. How are they working alone? And what are the important variables that are impacting their work productivity? Then moving to another research that could include job analysis and evaluation, analysis of the productivity of the job that has been by the year end, evaluating it, did it reach its target point or it has exceeded its target point? So has the profit has and the monetary value of that job increased, impacted in a very positive manner to the organization? So we do need an appraisal of the employee also. Selection has been a new area of research. How do psychologists select? What are the techniques? These are again some areas of research. Training and performance appraisal of personnel. What kind of training and the performance? So if we can have researchers which talk about, does important training actually increases the appraisals of the employees or personnel in the organization? The structure and context of organization, like what is the organization dealing with and how its structure. At times design companies looking very professional and lack uniqueness can impact on the structure. So your context is fashion, so your structure of work area should also be fashion, should also be unique, should also be abstract. So these are again areas of some researches. Organizational culture is increasing. It's an increasing area where psychologists has been interested in. Organizational change, career development of employees, which impacts the productivity of the organization. Motivation and job satisfaction has been a very increasingly important topic in organizational psychology now. And team dynamics. Team dynamic is important because a lot of our work, no matter in any field of organization, even in a college, functioning is an organization for the employees there. So working in a team, looking forward for results together, again is a team dynamics. So what is important in an organization to maintain a healthy team dynamics? What comprises of team dynamics? These could be some areas of researches in the industrial psychology. Now, when we talk about that researches are happening, they are increasing the value of organizational, researches here, and they're increasingly making the psychologists move towards to understand how an organization function, what makes it a success, what all an industry needs, and how do you maintain an employee-employer relationship. What are the basic steps to start up a research? So Mukensky in 1997, which has again been quite recent, gave us some steps for it. So the first step, like any other research, if any one of you have written a little small term papers or probably written a dissertation, you will understand this. The first topic is the statement of the problem. Statement of the problem is the first step in conducting the research, is deciding what you need to research on. So a topic that you need to title it into, a question that you want to initiate the research may come from experiences, may come from previous researches, a personal hunch, and like I think my employees who generally don't come to work on time lack commitment. So this can become a question. It can, you can formalize it into a theory, like punctuality of employees impacting their commitment. So, or commitment, like we can use more variables also. Dedication and commitment of employees on the seriousness of their joining, or probably seriousness of their work completion. At times, punctuality is so important that you have to hit the deadline most of the time. That's something which is an important task. Then, after you make a statement problem, you have a statement problem with you. Then we move to design of the research study. Research designs are what? It's a plan for the entire conduction of your research. Once the question has been raised in the previous step, it includes deciding where do you want to research. Is it has to be an organization setup? Do you want to pick up only 5 people from there, or you want to pick up a 13 number? The kind of sample that will be used, it is a gender biased or a gender based thing. Like, are you doing it on multi people, which is like irrespective of the gender, or you're doing it only for specific gender? So location, the kind of sample, what is the age category of the sample? Are you looking towards freshers? Are you looking towards, when we talk about commitment and dedication, impacting the productivity of the work given to the employee, we can also look forward to freshers, or you can look forward to something which is people having an experience of 10 years. So these are something which comes in under a research design. So which type of research method are you using, which etc. All of this combines of the second step. After we have a research design, we'll come down to this also. These are some areas of organization industrial psychology field. We move to something which is measurement of variables. So once you have a question, once you have a design that you need to function like this, we need to find out what variables are you working with. So when we talk about dedication and commitment and productivity of the employee, that are the two variables. So let's understand what are the two variables that are important to be found in your question. See, we need to find out an independent variable and a dependent variable. Independent variable is that variable which can be manipulated, and increasingly it just goes up and down. It goes up, goes moderate, goes high, goes low. So that's an independent variable because it keeps moving in, it keeps changing, its values keeps changing. And because of this independent variable, we have another variable whose impact will be seen on the dependent variable. So the commitment and dedication of the employee impacting the productivity of the project or the organization. So here, what is increasing and decreasing? whose impact is falling on the dependent variable. So here the dependent variable that you need to study, we need to study the productivity of the organization, becomes the dependent variable, and the independent variable is something which can go up, can go down, can be moderate, which is your commitment and dedication. So anything which goes up and down or can be manipulated. So independent variable is also something that as a researcher you can manipulate. Like you can have a control setup where people are not working at all. There is no commitment. So that is something that you've controlled. So that's an independent variable. You cannot control the productivity because productivity is the effect, it's the endpoint. Endpoints are usually the dependent variable, and the one that can be changed is called the independent variable. So in our case, the independent is something which is the commitment and the dedication, and something that we are studying, impacting. The independent impacting is the productivity. Let's read a little on whatever that's there on the screen. The measurement of variables. Variable is anything that can vary. As I said, employees can have a high, low, or a moderate job satisfaction. Hence, job satisfaction may become can become a variable of interest for psychologists. Broadly speaking, researchers are interested in examining the effect of one variable over the other. So, independent variables impact on the dependent variable. As a norm, dependent variable is the focus point. So, it is the focal point, it is something that you want to research upon. So, consider that gender and job satisfaction can be independent variable, and job satisfaction performance can be your dependent variable. So here when we talk about gender and job can be something which is your job satisfaction can be independent dependent variable, and job satisfaction performance can be dependent and dependent variable. So find out which one is what. When we talk about the gender and job satisfaction, gender becomes the independent variable, job satisfaction becomes the dependent variable. So at times, yes, there are, we can make hypothesis over here that males have better job satisfaction than females, or females have better job satisfaction than males, or there is no difference in the job satisfaction in the males and females. So there is no difference between. So one becomes independent, the other becomes dependent. Even job satisfaction and performance can become both the independent and dependent variable here. Now, as we understood that here, we are focusing on once the question is made, a plan is being made, you need to find out your dependent and independent variable. Once you have it, that's the time that you create that. How do you need to test it? Are you going to analyze data, research data? How? So here we are researching and analyzing data with two methods: quantitative method or qualitative methods. Quantitative methods are going to be using statistical techniques, as I mentioned on the screen. Statistical techniques would be using a standardized questionnaire, a standardized interview schedule, already made psychological test that will include mean, median, mode, standard deviation, all of the statistical techniques that you can use. Whereas qualitative analysis could be something which could include something like, when we talk about qualitative analysis, it could be an interview, but which has been made by you. So it does not have any psychological, testing. It does not have any, reliability, validity, which is the essential feature of a psychological test, and it's quality. Quality means you have richness of data. You do not have to standardize it in terms of statistical techniques. So quality is richness of data. Quantity is accuracy of data because you're using a statistical technique over there. Then after we have analyzed data, let's take an example. We've done a mean, median, mode, standard deviation on gender and job satisfaction, or we have done it on the commitment and dedication of the employees impacting their productivity, and we find out that higher is the after the analysis and the statistical technique, we get to know that higher is the commitment, better is the job productivity. Similarly, in the qualitative data, you will find qualitative analysis would be you take interviews from the employer and employee, and you find out that more they work towards it, better is the productivity for the organization, again through interviews. So this has come through richness of data that we have. Then we come to conclusions from research. This is after the data has been found out. This is the final thing where you accept or reject what is the result that has been. So females have higher job satisfaction than their male counterparts. This could be a conclusion. And it is not just enough to state a conclusion. You need to obviously explain it, that why do you state the same. It could be through the qualitative analysis that you've done, or through the richness of data that you've gathered. So you need to state the conclusion, and you need to state the why that you're concluding. Whether the conclusion that is being drawn can be generalized to the population. So it's like from general to specific to general. Is your population, like is your data that you've gathered, is on a representative sample, a huge sample of an area? So if it's on a 500,000 people of an organizational setup, and there are multiple organizations like that which comprise of 500 people, I'm sure that research can be generalized on the population, on a broader population. So we need to find out that. So writing conclusion is just not making a statement, but also at the same time, quoting that why that statement or that result has been true. So this finishes with how a research are conducted. This was given by, when we speak about, this was given by someone who's Buchensi, as we stated in 1997. And there, as we come back to the screen again, and we come back to the image again, what does the industrial organizational psychology deals with again? Individual assessment, performance appraisal, personal recruitment, job analysis, organizational setup that we have here, also organizational culture, modernization, quality assurance. Quality assurance is also one of the major fields that have been coming up, and occupational health. So these are more fields that talk about where organizational studies are researching upon. Then we had five basic steps of research. Now let's move to organizational next topic, which talks about how does organizations witness challenges and issues. There are some contemporary issues which have been started coming up in organizational setups, which are massive in number. Because as we move from one year to the other, there are things, there are developments that are happening, and an organization needs to keep pace with those development, those change. So let's start with the first contemporary issue and challenge which are coming to organization nowadays is, first is gender discrimination and sexual harassment. So this is something which has been a major need that we need to focus upon when people are working in an organization, because discriminating gender discrimination, when we talk about first, discriminating employees on the basis of their gender is still an existing phenomena, not only in organization if you talk about non-western countries like India, but also in western countries. Women are taken, yes, as multitasker, but also have been taken or as people who would require more number of leaves, because because of the women body type, because of women's deadlines of timelines of getting married, having a baby. So they always associate women with some stereotypical thought, which reduces their job satisfaction. So for example, women are not given a higher position in organization because they feel they're not strong. So here I feel males associated with a physical strength actually overpass a lot of commitment by males on other fields of area. So we feel that males are physically strengthened, so they should be given a higher position in organization because they have the capability and capacity to let that strength add on value to the organization, which is not the right thing. So gender sensitization is something that needs to be given to an organization. It's a critical aspect where employees as well as the employers needs to be given a little bit of knowledge and awareness about it, and how significant it is to what gender should require what kind of position. So there shouldn't be any gender discrimination, so sensitization is important. The issue of gender discrimination needs to be actually be addressed with people. It needs to be dealt with urgency in organization. So there needs to be sensitization, awareness. If there's a concern which is coming, it needs to be addressed at the same time, to maintain the motivation and commitment of the employees. So for example, if we just not talk about males, we talk about females also here. If, for example, there's a female boss and the males are not getting the right kind of pay, and the males are being made to wait for longer hours, have been made to give more number of work, which involves high duration of work hours, which is like a longer duration of time in the work area, just because we feel that they have lesser, cook responsibilities at their homes. So, this is again gender discrimination, where we feel that they can sit down till 10 or 11 at night and complete a work target which needs to be done within 10 days. This needs to be addressed. If we address it, categorize and give them more bigger team to work on, help them delegate work properly. This is the kind of motivation that an organization can give to the employee so that the productivity of the employers increases. That's like, taking care of gender discrimination in an organization. Then there is obviously sexual harassment that has been an increasing concern for organization and industries nowadays, which is that it has identified sexual harassment in the workplace as the top trend in the present, which is very true. Just because both genders are coming to work now, we equally have women as a gender coming to work in male gender. There is no discrimination of lesser capacity of males and lesser capacity of females, because education as a platform is now equally given to both genders. So when both will be educated, the employer section will have equal amount of genders in terms of males and females. So from an organization and industrial psychology standpoint, organization needs to look into a lot of policy, culture creation, positive culture creation, a culture creation that has a good, what do you call that? A thin line between respecting one another, not reaching into each other's boundaries. Policies needs to be, I feel, updated and re-evaluated all the time. Then every now and then, when we have appraisals every year, when we have new policy made after every, probably every 2 to 3 years, we need to look forward to sexual harassment policies also. Training needs to be given, which is we can talk about sensitization awareness, that what need not happen in an organization, what is not allowed. So we need to start to address the condition that leads to work, place sexual harassments. So people needs to be, I feel both gender needs to be educated. At times our way of living is so different from the other employee that it could be very harming and sexually intonated to the other, which could not be for us. So culture needs to be re-updated. We need to buffer the culture time and again. Policy needs to be updated and checked for this. Training needs to be provided. I feel there should be a lot of workshop that should be given to be provided to the employees and even the higher heads, to let them know that these are things that you need to consider. Because at the moment, sexual harassment is one of the most important top trends which is happening in organization. People taking advantage, a lot of lawsuits being passed on, in the organization, which is causing a lot of, I think, lack of productivity, lack of good culture in the organization because of this. The next is another contemporary, issue and challenge nowadays is globalization. Workplaces are becoming more globalized. We all know that this has been happening from the past 10 years that we have, and currently, yes, the last 2 3 years have also got that has increased globalization. This means that there needs to be a greater awareness of cross-cultural issues in workplace, because there are people coming from various cultures to one set of organization to work. More diverse workforce is coming, which means that rather than imposing an organizational standard to everybody, see, you have to make things fit to everybody. You cannot stand out and make a policy and make it universal to everyone. We're coming from different culture, different thought process, different ways of living, different practices. So we cannot standardly give one practice to all. Along with that, globalization also is an increasingly remote workforce. This presents with a lot of problems of collaboration, communication, building a sense of teamwork in an organization. So when people are coming from diverse sectors, I feel language could be a problem. Body language, communication, collaboration with one another. People end up sticking to, people end up sticking to employees or colleagues which are of the same cultural setup, which should be broken down. Because once, when we talk about globalization hitting to organization, we have multicultural people coming. We need to, break down the standards. We need to make standards which are fitting into everybody. So rather than being universal, it has to be customized, that we speak about. So until these things are not addressed, we will have problems in communication and organization, collaboration. We might not be able to build up a good sense of teamwork, which can further create in, reaching the goals of the organization. Another few more issues that have been coming up is employee empowerment. Employee empowerment, researchers have shown that decentralizing the power and responsibilities leads to more productivity of the organization, which is very true. When you decentralize power and responsibility, don't center it to two people. And that's how an organization function. If you remove that thing, organization functions better. This can happen if possibilities are given to the employees, obviously. And the main issue of delegating more power and responsibility to the employees, that it gives more freedom to decide your own schedules, your own operations, your own timeline. You can plan your own chunk of work and smaller goals within that bigger target. It is a good method of solving work related problems which might not match with others and generally obviously create conflict. So this also, I feel, manages the teamwork concerns. Whenever a team is working together, you should just not have one head. You should delegate work in an area that if you know this task well, you should be heading and taking care of your two people. If you are heading this, let's take an example. We are working on a project that that is designing of a project that needs to be exhibited within probably a year. And we design could be taken care by somebody. Presenting that design can be taken care by somebody. The cost station can be taken care by somebody. In this way, a 1 year target can be completed within 7 to 8 months because everybody is heading their own, their own expertise. They are able to decide their own schedule, their own deadlines, which with smaller the number, it's better are the results. Bigger is the team, you will rely on one person for the last decision. So if you want to decide on a cost, you write a mail to the head one. That head one takes it to the second head. The second head takes it to the main head. The hierarchy that we build in creates, breaking down of efforts, I feel, and it takes consumes a lot of time. When consumption of time happens, remember, it could create conflict. It could reduce your productivity. It could reduce the efficient management of time also. Coming back to another challenge, which is workforce diversity. With the increase in the recruitment of the heterogeneous workforce, which is in terms of gender, in terms of culture, in terms of orientations of people, which is age, gender communities, different societies, it does become a challenge for an organization to take care of a diverse workplace. The employees needs to be, you need to retain their cultural identity. Policy should be made that does not hurt their cultural identities. You cannot have I feel, a dress code because the kind of lifestyles and the values people are coming from. You have a dress code, which is restricting. They might not have that much of kind of the code of dress that you've given. They might not have those commodities and they end up buying, and it increases their expense, which causes frustration for the employee. So lifestyle, common norms in the organization, it needs to be, when we talk about workforce diversity, it has to be managed in a way that it becomes soothing for each and every person, employee which are multicultural, and also the person who's actually taking care of it. So this will take care because their heterogeneity which is coming into play. We are multicultural, we are multi-genders nowadays, we have different ages which is coming. Children are started working at the age of 21 today, and there are people at the age of 45, people at the age of 32. So speaking of this, there's multi-age category. We need to take care of the communication, we need to take care of the kind of lifestyles, the kind of cultures that they're coming into. This, if managed, I feel a lot of a good, a balanced and an equilibrium can be set in an organization if this is managed well. Then we have work-life balance and employee health, which is a very new, issue which has been cropping up. Unhealthy employees actually lower productivity. More time that is missed, more the abstinence possibly, lesser would be the turnover of the organization. So when an organization addresses work-life balance, employee health, it benefits both the employee and the workplace. So if you give the correct amount of work leaves to the employee, you allow them to have work from home at those days. And this can allow both result obtaining, which from the employee, because the employee can work from home, giving them the appropriate amount of medical leaves, allow them to take rest and take care of their health. This benefits both the sides, the employee also and the organization also. However, there may be privacy and other implication for workplace health and wellness programs that the organization psychologists will examine. We can have a routinely checkup. If you tie up with a hospital, you can have routinely checkup of your employees. That can be an add-on benefit and can be, taken as very positive by the employer also. Giving them a healthcare facility, providing them a health management card that we have, which assure them an yearly management and yearly benefit that you can provide them. So these are smaller things which takes care of the health of the employee, and directly indirectly impacts the productivity of the organization and well-being of the organization. And there are some, when we talk about the Gen Y workers that we are at the moment, or the Gen Z workers, the Gen Y workers, what are the other things that needs to be catered in our generation is, see, there are high work expectations from the self. So employees come up with very high expectation. I need to work faster. More that I work faster, the better is going to be my appraisal. So these policy of appraisal needs to be categorized and sorted out, so that people who are working too much and too faster to gain something should be sorted out. High expectation of employees are also another, it is becoming a concern, because they want a fair, a very direct manager who can highly engage them in their professional development. So when an employee is very, I feel, whenever we have employees which are efficient, very dedicated to the work and very intelligent, not only monetary appraisal but also vocational appraisals to be taken care of. Give them an outdoor setting, training and workshop where they can travel and take a workshop, and allow their families to go with them, and if they're not having a family, individually to go. This takes care of their high expectations. Then ongoing learning, which is they seek out creative challenges. Obviously, all the workplace organizational employees would look forward to something which is challenging, positively appraising to them, which can use their resources effectively. Immediate responsibility, they want to make an important impact on day one, which is very true. These are Gen Y workers' thought and challenges that they face. Goal oriented, they want they want smaller goals and very tight guidelines so that they can reach to it. No one would want a very tight guideline and a bigger project or a bigger goal. This would lead to malmanagement for the Gen Y workers. So these are again some issues which are being faced by the employees and the workers that we have. Let's move to few more. Improving skill is also another contemporary issue which has been coming to organization, which is improving skills. Organizations have been continuously improvising technology. Pandemic has been one, I feel, a springboard for all of us. Technology coming and hitting us in an overnight thought that everyone's coming on board, right from people who have not worked on a desktop, teachers taking online classes, which we obviously have now, which has been, see, this is a productivity of technology that we have got, which has structurally reduced the expense. Environmental changes will impact you less, and the other improvising skills are the environmental changes, which obviously the market has to manage. There are some countries which have extreme climatic changes, so they need to be trained in a way that we need to have some policies and adaptation so that those change could be met and goals of the organization are equally met. Therefore, it is a challenge for the organization to identify the training needs, plan a series of training development programs, career development programs for them, so that any changes in the structure, in the technology, can be taken care by the employee. Ethical dilemmas has been a very age-old, I feel, issue which has been sticking to organization. It is a challenge for the organization to curb unethical practices. It's very difficult, from smaller to the higher concepts, leaking of confidential information, putting out cost station rates to other people, financial gain, loafing. Social loafing is so common that we did the last time in the other, applied social psychology. Division of responsibility. We don't get to know who's working how. So five people, only three are working. That's again an ethical dilemma. So all these we need to have a very good check. The organization needs to have a good check to take care of all of this, which is ethical dilemma. Then digital world. This is like the current situation has posed a challenge for each organization to transfer their mode from an offline to an online working mode. Data compiling, filing, everything has come to digital mode. Marking students, putting their grades on online, everything available on the screen. Having a sound internet connection, having a good adequate knowledge for computers and computer application is important. Compulsory for survival, I feel. In today's life, it is compulsory. So this can be taken care by providing them, training programs, technologically brightening programs. Now coming to job satisfaction, here we start with unit 2, work attitude. And job satisfaction is one of the most important field of organizational psychology. It has been defined operationally by Locke in 1976. Appraisal or a positive emotional state resulting from the appraisal of one's jobs and experience is job satisfaction. Also, Spectre 1997 defines it. The extent to which people like their job in terms of satisfaction or dislike their jobs is called job satisfaction. What are the characteristics of job satisfaction? It's an emotional response to your job. It is. How do you feel about it? That's how job satisfaction has looks like. It is also the extent to which the work environment meets the work attitude will lead to job satisfaction and expectation of the employee. So it's like, how is your workplace? What is the kind of work? What are the kind of people that you're working with? And the completion of your work. All of this is job satisfaction. It is a result of people's perception of how well their job outcome has been as comparison to what they view, both in terms of organization and in terms of themselves. Job satisfaction is an evaluation of the job and of the organization that shows up your significant work behaviors like your productivity, how absent you've been, what is the workplace deviance, like how deviated your results have been, turnover of the organizational setup. This all comprises of job satisfaction. Also, some other important features: improve mental and work health is also job satisfaction, decrease abstinence, increase productivity, obviously, decrease in employee turnover, and increase in job satisfaction. These are very important for job satisfaction to happen. Then job satisfaction is reflected in the terms of the attitudes of people. So, like the attitude has three components: affective, behavioral, and cognitive. Your job satisfaction also has three components: cognitive, affective, and behavior. Let's take an example as on the screen. When someone says, I'm satisfied, I'm not satisfied with my monetary fund that I'm getting, the salary. This actually is a reality in the cognitive component, which is the belief system evaluation they have done. They feel that in comparison, equity, I'm not being given as much as the others are. I deserve more. So they feel this is unfair. The affective is emotional and feeling upset, feeling low, feeling disappointed. Behavioral is there would be high abstinence, decreased productivity. They might be because of the low pay, they might not complete a job on time. So this would lead to what a negative attitude towards the organization or supervisor. So see how, like in attitude, job satisfaction equally has three components which comprise of cognitive, emotion, and behavioral. So job productivity does have a feeling. It does, impact you if your feelings are not good, your thinking is not good, and your behaviors will turn out to be not good. So these three actually helps in understanding the attitude between, how is your attitude leading to the kind of behavior. So if a person is really happy with their workplace, very satisfied, despite the reasoning in their mind is, I'm getting my share, I'm getting the value of it, I'm being appreciated. But let's take an example. Okay, I don't like my colleagues, I'm not very happy with them, but my work gets finished on time. And their behavior is good. Emotions, feelings are not important because it's not upsetting their work, employability. Their behavior turns out to be good. They will complete their work because they're happy with their supervisor. So, end result is a positive attitude. They do not want to be impacted by co-colleagues' feelings. They're happy with what they're getting. This is also an ABC of a happy attitude that we have. Let's move ahead with nature of job satisfaction. What is job satisfaction in terms of it, what it looks like? In 1911, when Taylor began to study job satisfaction and the duties to develop better ways to train workers, there were a lot of studies which were done. So Taylor began to study employees and their job duties to develop better training, train workers. So which is very true. Studying what the kind of work are you doing and what are your duties will help you train workers better. Then studies were done to, that showed up that lightning and had a little connection to work productivity. Creativity does play an important role in nowadays, which is very true. Creativity is like something which can lead to illumination, spark great ideas. Hathorn studies in 1932 also, which was a 5-year interval research, widened some factors such as temperature, the work environment, temperature, working hours, breaks does impact job satisfaction. Mayo's work study also marginally stated that in today's time, he discovered that mere act of studying workers and providing them with more attention increase their mood, obviously. Looking towards your workers when they're doing something, working or studying, which is sabbaticals when they've taken, and providing them, their pay, It will increase their productivity when they hit back or when they are working from home. Also, reasons for interest, firstly, in terms of job satisfaction, has been that firstly, organization and researchers are interested in assessing the state of the employee. How are you when you're working? And this often impacts their well-being. So if you look after your employee, work satisfaction, psychological health, mental health will increase. Job satisfaction is bound to be there. Second, understanding the influence of job on an individual level. So how is your job impacting you? This is equally important. All of these things does impact job satisfaction. So tailor rightly studied employees to find out their what are the better ways to train them further. So if you know the nature of your employees, you know what are they lacking in, what are they good in, give them training. They become a productivity and asset for your company. Have better conditions of your workplace, like the hackathon study. Also, making sure that your when your employees are studying and doing something, paying attention to them, asking about their improvement, and providing some monetary appraisal, increase productivity. So this is the nature of job satisfaction, which will be influenced by it and further. Nature, it's a global approach. Overall satisfaction of work needs to be taken care of. Most people like overall job will be more happy with their job satisfaction. Facet of satisfaction is nature of job. If the nature of job is appealing to the person, the more satisfied they will be. Pay and promotion. Lesser pay and promotion, lesser job satisfaction, like the image suggests us. Let's move to antecedent of job satisfaction, which is like what are the events which could lead to job satisfaction. There are two distinct models, as apparently given in studies. The first model focuses on characteristic like age, the number of years of experiences that you have, the gender, occupational rank, and education. That can be an antecedent, a factor which could be leading or not leading to job satisfaction. So we are going to discuss the first model first, which is the personal characteristics. Second model would be an individual based thing, which is their pay, their promotion, their opportunities that they have. So age and number of experience actually does impact. Researches have been done that your tenure of a job that you've been doing suggests older and more experienced workers are more satisfied, which is very true. More that you know the pattern of your workplace and organization, more satisfied that you are. And first, that it is attributed to more realistic expectations owing to the age. Second, you're more mature. You've seen you have more increased confidence, a reality based assessment you are going to do of your productivity and of the job. Thirdly, better the age and number of experience that you are, older that you are, the better and highly rewarded you are in the organization, because you know how every task is done with finesse and perfection, because you've been in the organization. You know what an organization needs from you. Another antecedent factor is gender. Some evidences say that gender differences on job satisfaction does cause contradictory and inconsistent thought, which is like women are generally lesser paid than men. Their opportunities for promotion are fewer. They believe that they have to work harder than men to receive a comparable reward, which is very true. Women feel the need to climb more stairs to look forward to the same amount and the same money. So this is again another reason for job satisfaction that you can find about. Women not being satisfied probably at some areas of work. Then we have occupational level. Occupational level is the level at which individual work within an organization and has influence on their satisfaction, which is, you're a supervisor or a manager. Higher job levels, obviously greater opportunity, greater job satisfaction. At a lower level, you have lesser growth, you do not have autonomy, you do not have a controlling power on people, so lesser job satisfaction. The last that we come down to is education. For today, we have more antecedent factors. We'll just do gender, age, experience, occupational, and education today. It does say that there is a positive relationship. More is your education, which will add to more experience. Job satisfaction has to happen, and have found to be have slightly negative correlation also towards the attitude. People having higher education at times, do have some negative traits. They feel as per my education are not being paid well. So the explanation is better educated, higher expectations, and believe that their work should be provided with more responsibility and fulfillment. And if you don't give them, lesser job satisfaction. So more the education, people feel I'm more qualified to be getting more reward and more, I should be given more value for my money. This is also for age and experience. More the age and experience, people will feel that we should be rewarded more, we should be taken care of more. So is job. Ideally, education and job satisfaction is positively correlated. There are slight negative correlations also to it. So this finishes with today's class, where we today's session, where we talked about what is industrial psychology, its major field of research is, what is it in core of its nature. One of the first component that we've touched today is job satisfaction. Hope you understood the entire class. Thank you.